Welcome to episode 259 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my guest this week is Chuck Joyner back on the show. How you doing, Chuck?
I'm doing good, David. It's good to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Always pleasure having you here. Always pleasure also to have Ben Roethig on the show. How you doing, Ben?
I am doing great, Dave.
Good. Glad you're here. And we're going to have some good things to talk about, as well as Jeff Gamet's here. We appreciate you being here. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing all right. I'm happy to be hanging out with all of you instead of just being curmudgeonly and grumpy as I pack.
Yeah. Well, we know you're going through some pains of packing and moving, so we got to have our sympathies to you. So,
thank you.
Hey, David and Jeff, let's see if we can bring out the curmudgeon, or David and let's see if we can bring out the curmudgeon and Jeff.
It might not be.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yes,
there might be
Jeff.
easy.
We will turn you to the dark side.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
So we got some news stories this week. A few things come out. Beta is going to be very active, obviously, since WWDC last week. Got a couple segments that we're carrying over for this week. Couldn't cover everything in an hour, so we're going to talk about the audio at home and touch a little bit on the Watch OS. And who knows where everything goes here, but they're going to start right off with the news this week. First story. Apple Card monthly installments terms for Apple Watch is going to be changing from 24 months to 12 months starting August 15th. Apple's installment payments for the term for new Apple Watch purchases is going to change. According to the little fine print on Apple's website, this means that payments will be higher, but the Apple Watch will be paid off faster. I never understood why Apple did this in the first place, honestly, because you're buying a $400 or $500 Apple Watch and you're dividing it over by 24 months. Yeah, that's great and all, but then, I've done it numerous times since I bought the Apple Watch, but I want it paid off already, and then meanwhile, it's like, well, it's a $24 a month payment. Okay. I don't think anybody's going to be too overly unhappy about this. Don't you think, Chuck?
David, I don't think it's hard to understand where this is coming from. In the first place, not very long ago, money didn't have much of a value. Now we're seeing a lot higher returns on things. Yeah. Apple wants to get that money in there faster.
Sure.
So now, and somewhere there's an accountant or an army of accountants that have figured out, and probably marketing and statisticians figuring out, okay, if we take it from 24 down to 12, it increases the price per month. And so that's going to, alienate X number of potential Apple Watch buyers. And the numbers came out that, Apple ends up winning. So, and I'm assuming this is some kind of significant amount. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a matter of they don't want the bookkeeping or the headache, or their financial partners aren't interested in it. But that was my take when I saw this.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. Definitely. I think it's definitely a bottom line. What do you guys think? What do you think, Ben?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it's a pretty prudent move. Most of the watches that are going to be bought on the Apple Card monthly installments are the non-cellular models.
Right.
If you have a cellular model, you still have carrier financing. And if you have if you want the Ultra, well, we're going to talk more about that in a couple stories.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Jeff? It's just, like I said, I think I'm fine with this. That doesn't bug me.
For me, I'm going to pay up front for the watch anyhow. Yeah. That said, I can see situations where people have a legit use for this. Apple's in a weird place now. They make, just in the general sense, disposable income products. Now, granted, we use a lot of their stuff to run our businesses, but when you look at a product like the Apple Watch, disposable income product, but it also has valid health use cases for many people. If you're one of those people where a product like the Apple Watch has a legit health use case for you, but you don't have a lot of money, and financing the watch over 2 years allows you to get this device that can have a significant positive impact on your overall life, it would be unfortunate to lose that. Now, that said, I'm also betting that when Apple ran the numbers, they also had all the information about how many people actually do a 24-month payment program on an Apple Watch. Of those people, how many actually go to the end of 24 months, and how many pay it off early? And I mean, they have all the numbers. So if they did this, it makes sense for them to do it, even if there's a certain percentage of their customer base that will now be unhappy. On a side note, because I haven't actually looked, can you do 24-month leasing on AirPods?
Nope. I don't think so.
Okay. I think it would be kind of weird if a lower price product you could do those terms on, but not on a higher price product.
Yep.
So, okay, cool.
Yep. Meanwhile, Apple is going to be changing the way you can buy an iPhone through financing. They're discontinuing the Apple Card financing for iPhones if you buy it without a carrier connection. So Apple is making a major change to the Apple Card monthly installment purchase option for iPhone in August, where it's no longer going to allow customers to purchase a SIM-free iPhone model using the Apple Card financing. Instead, carrier connection with AT&T, T-Mobile, or Verizon will be required. So this is interesting. There's a little bit of fine print that they found here, and saying that Apple is making that change. So could this be just the same of what they're doing with the Apple Watch financing? Very possible. But there are people who want to go with other carriers like Mint Mobile or Google Fi or any MVNO carriers. I mean, so this is kind of not very fair, in my opinion. What do you think, Jeff?
This one, instead of being, I can see good and bad, this is straight up bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is bad business for customers. The number of people that are, say, Mint Mobile users that would like to be able to do the same payment program as someone that's using AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. Why should they not be able to do that?
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Chuck?
I think it speaks to the success of Mint Mobile. I think there's some people out there that at the major carriers who are feeling quite threatened that maybe people are going another direction, or at least are recognizing finally that they have some options. And to hark back to Jeff's earlier comments, somebody ran the numbers here and said, okay, we're going to alienate X number of customers. How many does that really represent? So, fair or not, it's still Apple's game to play.
This is true.
And one of the things that this may not be fair either. Okay, because 1 minute I'm praising Mint Mobile and I'm praising the people who are, buying the SIM-less phones. But if you have a carrier, oh, that was a cat. It's like what just went by?
Land shark,
and then goes right back in.
Land shark,
right on cue. You have to wonder about credit ratings and, pardon me, who's keeping up the payments and all. So, again, there's so many little factors that could figure into this. But yeah. I bet unlike maybe some of the others, I bet that they just don't view this as significant.
No, probably not. What do you think, Ben?
Well, since Jeff took most of my talking points,
sorry,
I'll go with another angle. For people who were on the fence about the Apple Card, to me, this makes it a little bit less of a deal. If I was to get the Apple Card, it would be to get an iPhone and I would want carrier flexibility with that iPhone. Without having that carrier flexibility, financing it through Apple is a lot less interesting than just financing it through AT&T, Verizon, or T-Mobile. I mean, granted, there's probably a good reason behind the scenes for this, whether it was the carriers being up in arms, Goldman Sachs having issues with the SIM-free loans or something to that effect, but it just plain sucks.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead, Trey.
let me throw just something out and then ask the panel a question. The one thing about this is that if you require a phone to have an eSIM, then you know the phone is going to work as soon as it lands in the customer's hands.
Right.
If you sell it SIMless, are you going to incur a whole lot of support calls? And at the end of the day, and this is what I wanted to ask the panel. I mean, you can still, okay, so you have an AT&T connection, let's say. I mean, at some point you can cancel that and adopt one of the other carriers just with an eSIM change. In fact, in some ways, isn't this easier than with physical SIMs?
It can be. However, while doing the switch over between carriers is much easier than it used to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Why should customers be expected to have to do that if they don't want to stick or even have one of the three big players?
Yeah.
Yep. No, I agree.
Yeah. If that's the case, then I'll fall back on the support question. Because that makes it a seamless Apple experience instead of you getting that new shiny phone on day one, right, and you have to try to figure out how to implement your new eSIM, and that means calling somebody that's not Apple. Apple is now out of control of the user experience, and we know how much Apple does not like to be out of control with the user experience.
Right, because they're partnered up with the big three, obviously. And it is a seamless. I mean, I've done it many times before. When I've bought the iPhone right directly from Apple, it's especially when you go into the store, they know how to do it. They're trained, they know how to do it. But then you're dealing with other carriers like Mint Mobile or others. That's going to be more of a challenge for them, and they don't want that extra overhead of extra time that staff is having to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'm having a hard time with that argument.
Okay.
If you're dealing with a company like Mint Mobile, the process for setup is really no different than it is for the big three carriers. Yeah. If you're dealing with Singular, same thing. So, I don't know. And then as far as, well, this cuts down on customer support issues. Maybe, but I kind of doubt it. If there's going to be a problem setting up your phone, it's just going to be a problem.
Right.
And for example, I know what I'm doing. Every time I've gotten a new iPhone, when up until I switched it over to Mint Mobile, every time I got a new iPhone, the process of switching over, unless I paid for an unlocked phone, was stupid, and something always went wrong, and AT&T always had to get involved and manually activate the SIM because they couldn't figure out what happened, and that's outside Apple's hands. For me, I totally get that's not an Apple thing, but for the average person, if they're in the Apple store and it's not working, they're pissed off at Apple. So my feeling is if as Apple, you want to remove yourself from having to deal with so much customer support, sell only unlocked phones, and then you sell someone a phone and then say, and here's the web page that shows you how to set it up with your carrier, or the AT&T or Verizon store is 2 doors down, or whatever.
No, I agree. Well,
Jeff, the only thing there, now I've got to think, because it's one thing to have a SIM, it's another thing to have a locked phone. Are the eSIMs? I mean, is that a locked phone?
not
Because
it depends.
I mean,
It
in the
depends on
past,
the carrier. Like if you sign up for AT&T
right,
and they set you up with an eSIM, it's still a locked phone.
it's still a locked phone, and there's a certain amount of time period, or I forget how
You have to pay off the phone.
Yeah.
Right.
So I can't unlock that phone until I'm ready to send it back to Apple, since I'm part of the program.
Or pay it off early.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and the same thing applies with the Apple Upgrade program, which I've been on since day one. I have to declare a carrier. I mean, I can't just say I want it unlocked and then put it on the program. They want me to, declare my carrier. I mean, well, I've been to T-Mobile for years.
Can you declare Mint or Singular?
I would think so.
Okay.
I would think so. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but I also got to remember Mint's also being, is merging with T-Mobile at some point too. So,
right, and AT&T owns Singular, right?
no, Singular's gone. They bought that a long time ago.
That's who they were.
That's who they were, right?
Yeah.
What's the
Like Cricket or one of those other ones?
Cricket.
Yeah.
Cricket? Thank you, Cricket. I think that's one AT&T owns.
Yeah. So,
and I forgot which one Verizon owns.
They own Trek Phone, Total, and about 6
a
others.
couple others.
Okay.
So. All right, let's go ahead and move on to a different topic here, okay? The next story I want to talk about is Best Buy. Best Buy is expanding their Upgrade Plus program to iPad Pro and the Apple Watch Ultra. They announced this week that they're expanding their program to include both those devices. They launched their program in October of last year, partnership with Apple, a program that provides monthly financing via Citizens Bank for the select Apple products in the U.S. with Best Buy. And APRs range from 0 to 29.99% based on your credit worthiness, according to the program's fine print. Also includes, like the MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, iMac, Mac Studio. So they got a pretty good open catalog here. And this is great to see it now on the iPad and the Apple Watch Ultra. Got the option to be able to get the Apple Care Plus plan on it. So, and they say it's 36 months. And then after the 37th month, you can either keep the device or you can return it and then leave the program. So I think it's a pretty big program for somebody who likes to do upgrading a lot more often, but might have some restrictions. Well, what do you think, Jeff?
I'm surprised they didn't launch the program with the iPad Pro.
I was too.
Yeah, they launched before Apple Watch Ultra was a thing, so adding it in later on totally makes sense. But yeah, I mean, if they're going to do it, why not have the iPad Pro in there to begin with?
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think, Ben?
I'm actually surprised they don't have the Air in there.
They do. Actually, it said MacBook Air.
Oh, not the MacBook Air, but the iPad Air.
Oh, iPad Air, right? Maybe because of its cost, it's lower priced.
Well, I mean, they have Macs in there that are cheaper.
No, that's true.
But
Mac Mini.
Oh, right. Yeah,
I mean,
Mac Mini.
This seems like a decent program to me. It seems a lot like Apple's iPhone upgrades program, but it's more flexible and available in more places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually halfway interested to upgrade to the next version of the Apple Watch Ultra through this.
Yeah, that might not be a bad deal. Because all depend. Yeah, because it is. Yeah, it's $800 for the Ultra. It's a little steep. But any thoughts, Chuck?
Just that if you are paying 29.9%,
Yeah, that I have a problem with. Yes,
don't do it.
That I have a problem with.
I mean, really. I mean, just I don't often say this, but then do without because
exactly.
You are just royally being ripped off.
30% interest rate.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Yeah,
we all have decent credit here, so I think we aren't going to get that. But I mean, anybody who doesn't, it isn't a good idea.
Yeah, and I want to withdraw that what I just said, because look, there are people out there that, you're right. We hear, most of us, I think, have pretty good credit. And so, we probably wouldn't be doing that. But, just please pay attention. There's nothing, I can't think of anything that's worth paying 30% APR on.
No.
I mean, that's just crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff.
I mean, in that case, there are other options, including your carrier for some of this stuff.
Well, even a lot of credit cards, just,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not, I hate to even advocate, anybody going down that route, but you can still, even with questionable credit, you can still get a better rate than $29.9.
You'd hope.
So
hope.
It feels like that might be just one of those things that we're trying to push off a certain percentage or certain group of buyers that, okay, if we're going to have to deal with you, then we're going to get paid for it.
Yeah. And if you get that 29%, just don't do it. Look at the other options, like Chuck said.
Yep, definitely. All right, let's move on to the topics this week. And as we always talk about beta, and there's been a lot to talk about with beta because of iOS 17. But before we jump into that, this was an interesting story I found this week that Apple was preparing to actually release iOS 16.5.1 for the iPhone following the iOS 17 beta. It appears to be preparing for this based on some evidence in the software and the website's analytics logs that were last week. It's unclear when it's going to get released, but it's likely it'll probably be available this week as we're recording this, or maybe next week. Usually .1 versions are the minor updates, typically focusing on bug fixes, stability, and all that fun stuff. Maybe they're fixing the USB 3 camera adapter problem. Which is a very big possibility. We talked last week, so that's probably what it is. What do you think, Jeff? This is definitely something interesting to see that we're like across three spectrums here now with beta. So,
yeah, I really think 16.5.1 is fixing the stuff that's broken in 16.5.
Yeah.
And that's why this is rolling out. And they need to do it before 16.6 will be available, because they have done some things that broke functionality for iPhone owners. Right. So, yeah. And there's probably some other security fix in there that that they think is important, but it's not so important. They need to do the new we're pushing the patch out thing to, what's that called? I forgot.
Security response.
Thank you.
Security response, right?
Yeah.
Guys, have any thoughts about that? Go ahead, Chuck.
Only that it's good. I mean, only that they're not just completely saying, "Oh, okay, just wait till 16.6 or just wait till 17." That they're actively, and then it looks from outward appearances like they're going through it very methodically, like they always do. Since none of the bugs, at least the camera cable bug, isn't like an, oh my God, critical one, but it's certainly annoying for folks. Right. So they're taking the time to do it right. You know me, I'm not big on the whole beta cycle. Right. Have it being opened up the way they've opened it up, because I just think it leads to a lot of issues that we can talk about later. But this feels good. This feels good.
So they've and of course today, as we record this, I was as I got to the show notes before the show started here, that they released 16.6 beta 3. That update went out to developers, and they'll probably have it. It's only been 2 weeks since the second beta came out, and of course you can go out and get that update if you so wish. It did lay the groundwork of iMessage contact key verification, which meant Apple device owners need to verify that they're messaging with people that they intend to message to, as rather than a malicious entity. So they added that in there as far as one of the big updates. But like I said, I guess it's a good idea they went with 16.5.1 just to be safe with probably the camera adapter, and then have 16.6 ready to go. Then we move on to iOS 17, which is, you would think that's where Apple wants to continue its focus now at this point. What do you guys think?
I can't keep track of these.
I know, it's crazy. I think this is the most I've seen in probably a long time, if ever.
So we have 16.5 or 16.5 is what we're on.
Right.
16.5.1 beta, 16.6 beta. Wait, is 16.51 even a beta?
No, it's going to be like a .1 release. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 17 beta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we need a chart.
Yeah. I got to put a chart together for this. So
right.
Well, I would think that Apple wants to release this sooner than later. I mean, you got to think that they want to put their focus on 17 now, but who knows? Who knows? WatchOS 9.6 third beta was released as well, and the and tvOS 16 that was the same version. 16.6 was released as well. So nothing really notable between both of those releases. So, but we talked a lot about iOS 17 last week, so I won't spend too much time on it, other than with a couple of things that were interesting that we found this week. This was the PSA actually. Disabling iCloud Drive in iOS 17 no longer turns off third-party app CloudKit syncing. They found this in iOS 17 and macOS Sonoma. But if you do turn this off, it no longer impacts third-party apps that uses Apple iCloud databases to sync their data. I guess it's welcome from both developers and users.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely going to be something interesting to see where this goes. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Good. This shouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, I thought so too. Other thing I'm super excited about is 1Password. They teased their native passkey support that's coming to its app with iOS 17. Since Apple announced passkeys last year, many companies have been starting to adopt it and the new standard with passkeys. Passkey, as we know, is the new technology developed by FIDO Alliance that's in partnership with companies such as Apple, Google, and Microsoft. Instead of traditional passwords, users can now sign in with secure authentication methods like facial recognition, biometrics, all that fun stuff. But there's a link here that also talks about what 1Password has done, and the new API is going to let password managers create and use passkeys within other apps, such as Safari. I think this is exciting. I'd like to see where this goes. Especially, I can't wait to get this. I might even try it, on my test iPhone here to see how it works once 1Password releases this.
Yeah. I'm at the point where it's like 1Password. Give me a test flight invite, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
No, guys,
I don't think 1Password is going to though. They're not going to rush this out.
No,
there's no reason to rush this out because there are not that many sites right now that support it. Mm-hmm. And so, do all your experimentation, do all your testing, and then if you're going to release a public beta or something, make sure it's like as solid as you can make it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I think this is great. Passkeys are a wonderful thing. Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a while before we can abandon passwords.
Oh yeah, I agree with that statement. Definitely. One last thing I want to mention on iOS 17, I thought this is another interesting thing, is iOS 17 is going to give you 72 hours to undo an iPhone passcode change. If you change your iPhone's passcode and forget it soon after, iOS 17 is going to have a new option available to help you out. Specifically, it will now be possible to reset the iPhone's new passcode with the previous passcode for up to 72 hours after the change is made. If you enter the incorrect passcode, tapping Forgot Passcode at the bottom of the screen will lead to another screen. Try a passcode reset option, and tapping this option will allow you to enter the previous version's passcode. I don't know if I like this or I don't like this, but I think this is something that's okay. Do you think it's going to cause people to be able to manipulate this, just like we've had all the press about the people stealing your identity, your iPhone, and your iCloud world?
People will always find ways to abuse things.
Yeah.
My guess is that Apple added this feature in because they have all the data. So they, I'm guessing, know that there's a significant number of people that are in situations where they change their passcode with, like they need to change your passcode for whatever reason. And they do.
Right.
But then they realize they don't know what they changed it to. And while I can understand a lot of people saying, how can that possibly be? The number of times that I have dealt with people that don't use technology as fluently as we do and do something like that, and then don't understand what has gone wrong. There's a lot of people out there like that. And I'm not saying people are stupid. I'm just saying that there are a lot of people that really don't grok everything that's going on here. And if Apple's making this feature, then that tells me there's enough people that are having this sort of a problem where they needed to do something to help out.
Jeff, I have a friend who I helped set up 1Password, and they forgot their 1Password. And it's like, well, it's called 1Password for a reason. You could have written that password down somewhere secure if you thought you might forget it, but no such luck. I think this feature, though, is especially for one particular group of customers, and that is the customers who let their young children play with their iPhone, and the kids reset the password to something that
don't they need to know the password to reset it?
I get
where you're going. People unintentionally changing passcodes.
Yeah. So I think it's a good thing. And David, I was thinking about this when I saw the article earlier. So if my phone gets stolen or somebody's looking over my shoulder, knows my passcode, and then runs off and changes it, it doesn't do me any good to change it back.
Right, because you don't have the phone to change it back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So why would the thief want to change it back? So unless somebody has an answer for that one, I don't think that really affects the security of the phone one way or the other at this time.
Yeah.
I have two thoughts on this that are diametrically opposed. First, I used to work in consumer facing tech support in a certain big box store that I think 98% of people can guess what it was.
Mm-hmm.
To be perfectly honest, the number of people who are responsible with their passwords are far dwarfed by those who basically just want someone to do it for them and expect the consumer-facing tech support agents to be able to do everything for them if they ever forget. So this has, there are some things that are good here, especially if they change their password, can't remember what they changed it to, then they can at least, we can at least in that 72-hour help them get it back. On the other hand, let's say your iCloud password is compromised and you're one of many people who do not have 2FA on. Well, if it's compromised in that case, you can change your password, but the compromising party can just undo it. So, like anything, this is bit of a two-edged sword.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about audio and home. That was the big topic during the WWDC keynote. In tvOS beta 17 beta 1 was released. And was a number of great things that were announced. I think notably was FaceTime's coming to the Apple TV and connectivity camera with your iPhone, being able to just set up your iPhone right at your TV and be able to have a FaceTime call from your Apple TV. I think that's something that's kind of exciting. And Center Stage is also going to be available, so it'll perfectly center everybody as they're moving around. And being able to the controls on the iPhone or iPad will be able to easily transfer the FaceTime back to the device if you want to. They're also looking at expanding, I believe, WebEx for Cisco and Zoom are going to launch a tvOS app and be able to have their communication capabilities. I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft Teams does it too. It's definitely going to be a way of folks wanting to be able to have these types of conference calls on your Apple TV. To me, it's making Apple TV a more valuable device, compared to everybody looking at, oh, look, Roku's so much cheaper, and look at, Google TV, that's another cheaper device, and the Fire Stick, and okay, well, are they going to be able to do this? I'd be surprised if they could, only because of the processing speed that those devices generally have. It's much slower than what an Apple TV does. What do you guys think, Jeff? Is this something that you would use on the Apple TV, you think?
If you'd asked me a couple years ago, I would have said no. But then we all had to start living like we were isolated on space stations out in the Delta Quadrant. And so now I can very confidently say, yes, this is a feature that I will end up using.
No, I think it's something really good. What about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is so Apple at taking advantage of the high quality camera in the iPhone, the fact that they've now created continuity camera to let you use those lenses in a different way, and then hook it to an Apple TV and put it up on the big screen. I mean, this is absolutely brilliant, because I know not me, but I have friends who have, kids and grandkids in distant places, and it's they love doing this stuff, but it's kind of a hassle. And if you're going to be, I mean, let's not forget that little stand that Apple showed during the keynote. If you can just walk over, drop your phone onto that, hit a button, and up pops, the other people, the other side on your TV, and they can see you through this high quality camera. I mean, it's spectacular.
I can't agree more.
First of all, I'm sorry you used that kind of language on this show, David. You used the T word. I think that'll be interesting to see if they decide to do anything, allow this.
They will.
So we'll see.
They're going to.
This is a good reason for many people to upgrade to an Apple TV 4K if they haven't already.
Absolutely. I agree with that.
So yeah, this is probably the feature that will get me to make that purchase.
No, I'm with you on that one. So
I admit that is this feature, has anybody seen this feature being limited to the Apple TV 4K?
I thought it was it's going to be on the HD as well.
I thought so.
The icon's on the HD.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
As long as I can run tvOS 17, I would imagine so.
I was under the impression, who knows why, that this was just a 4K thing. There we go. This is even better. Now I don't have to buy a new Apple TV.
I will say this: I haven't had the chance to beta test it on the HD.
Yeah.
But the FaceTime excuse me, the FaceTime application is on it.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay, I'm scanning through the press release, and
yeah, I'm looking too.
I need to look at the small print for actual compatibility because the press release talks about Apple TV 4K.
Yeah, it says Apple TV for HD.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, good. And there you go.
Yeah. Availability, yeah. It says free software update for 4K and HD. The control center complete redesign, which I think is looking really nifty. It's got all your family. If you have your family, all your other family members, so at least now you can keep your screen you way you want it, yay, and not have your significant other, your children, or whoever mess it all up. So now you can have particular profiles on there with the control center. Gives this system status, gives you time and active profile, expands all kinds of user activity, that kind of stuff. The other thing was I found extremely interesting is the fact that the Siri remote, the second gen or later, is now going to have a way of finding it. Okay, we were all doing this, I've got this remote here. I bought the case and I have an air tag inside this case of my. Not that I actually don't mind this case. I like it because it's a nice big grippy. But why would I want to have to pay another $25 to put an air tag in here to find my Siri remote? Come on, Apple, you had it built in and we knew it, and then you didn't use it until now.
Yeah.
So this is definitely something I'm glad they're adding. So some other features that were added, including enhanced dialogue, clear to see here, and Dolby Vision 8.1, expansion of Apple Fitness Plus with the custom plans. Stacks will allow you to select multiple workouts. So people with Apple who are using Apple Fitness Plus are probably going to even like it even more using Apple TV. But this one here's the big one is VPN support. Being able to actually install your VPN on tvOS 17, and it will allow you to protect what you're doing on the network, and you might be able to watch Netflix from UK. Those are probably one of the things people like to do is be able to watch things that are outside of your country. So interesting to keep. That's another added piece of security. What do you guys think with that?
To be perfectly honest, this between both new features and the enhancements to the UI, this is by far the biggest update to Apple TV in its history.
Yeah, I agree.
At least since tvOS has been around.
I agree with that statement.
I mean, it's taken a relatively unloved product and makes it a communications device for the whole family. It gives you VPN flexibility. The control center has made it so I have to spend a hell of a lot less time in settings.
Yep.
It just, but the only thing I could want left on Apple TV is a live channels option.
Yeah.
But it's great.
Nope. Oh, I agree with you 100% on that. So it's definitely going to be something to see. For those who have the option to test it, check it out. But I think most people should resist until it's coming out for prime time here. Couple other things. Go ahead.
I will say, I'm running it on 3 televisions right now, or 3 Apple TVs. The reason I'm not running on the 4th, on certain models of the 4K, I have had a lot of trouble upgrading. It'll say it installs the update and just goes back to 16.5. I was able to get one of my TVs upgraded by resetting it. The other one is in a more public facing place. So I'm going to do that one when it decides it's ready.
Yeah.
Dave, I think you should do a special show where Ben demonstrates Apple Music Sing.
Yes.
Oh,
Tell you what, if you guys want to help me get the 3rd gen 4K, I'd be happy to do that.
Because you do need to think,
Jeff.
do you want, we could pool our money here.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm in for a third on
That
that.
might be worth.
Yeah, because for what I use it,
It might be worth some
what
entertainment.
did I use it for? My second gen 4Ks. Except for karaoke, there's absolutely no reason I want to upgrade.
Yeah. Oh, I'm with you.
I've paid a lot more for tickets for shows that were a lot less entertaining than that would be.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at the prices right now.
yeah, we can find one. We got to split it 3 ways here.
I think we could do a GoFundMe and we could probably buy multiples.
And
Sure.
outfit his whole house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So they also changed the S lady. So now you don't have to say hey S lady anymore. You can just say S lady. That's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And how and then it now remembers and remembers you saying it, and you actually can ask it something else. So they've made some adjustments there. Siri's going to support AirPlay for on the HomePod. They've added some more support, which includes Overcast and YouTube Music and SoundCloud and Audible, to name a few, which is great to see. That because we know Jeff and his feelings about HomePods.
It's I have a very dysfunctional relationship with my HomePods.
You do.
Yeah.
Most people do.
You do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
On the dropping hey from Hey Yes Lady.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. And I'm glad Apple figured out how to be able to track the sound so that that it will hopefully trigger reliably. Adding in the thing where you can tell it to do something and then continue to tell it to do things in succession. Okay, that's great. Way to copy a feature that's 4 years old on the Echo, but glad it's finally there. What Apple could have done to make me step back and say, okay, that's really interesting, is something that I asked them to do years ago, which was let me make compound requests like, hey, S lady, turn on the living room lights, set the heat to 68, and start playing the My Friends playlist. Why can't I do that?
Good question. Couple of features to talk about here is including for the AirPods. Oh my God, finally, fast AirPods automatic switching. I mean, that's actually going to work. And in fact, I even have an article in the show notes. If you really want to be bold, you can actually, it shows you how to install the beta version of this on your AirPods. I would tread lightly if you decide to do that, but you'd like to see this. But the adaptive audio, which is going to be really cool. I mean, adapting to your surroundings and being able to listen and be able to hear people outside with you. And that was a nice little feature they added. AirPlay in hotels, being able to AirPlay your devices. I would be seeing more and more hotels probably adopting this. Should be something interesting to see when it comes to that. So I think they did some good things in the audio in the home section here. I think now I just want to see some improvements to the HomePod. Honestly, I mean, and Jeff's not alone. We're all struggling with the HomePod and its software. It's just not. It's not good.
I'm frustrated because the device is really nice.
It is.
Yeah,
it absolutely is.
Question for you all. Has anybody thought about any security concerns for AirPlaying to a hotel TV?
I don't think so. Do you guys?
Is there anything anybody would be potentially concerned about there?
Well, I want to learn more, but from what I've heard, it sounds like what they're doing is creating a temporary discrete network between your device and the Apple TV, or the AirPlay receiving device. So it's not like you're having to hand over personal information to make that work. And since it's like AirDrop, where it's a network that's being created ad hoc, when it's done, and it's not like anyone's going to be able to sniff in on that network later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess my concern, my thinking on it, and I'm way outside my depth here, okay, but I'm sending something from my phone up to something that in theory somewhere might be able to record it. And so, I mean, and look, I think it's a great feature and I will probably use it but I would just be very careful that I wasn't doing anything on my phone that was being mirrored to that TV that, could potentially compromise anything. And maybe I've just
your laptop, iPhone or iPad physically into a television in a hotel room.
Good question, Jeff.
And if so, were you concerned about something intercepting the signal?
I probably have plugged my laptop into HDMI to HDMI,
mm-hmm.
and I never really thought about it up to this moment.
It's my feeling is, if you're concerned about it over an AirPlay connection, you should be concerned about it over a physical connection as well.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
you're not wrong.
Yeah.
It's not something I'd considered until you brought it up.
Yeah. Not only that, AirPlay, hotel AirPlay is probably going to require a certification in the firmware. And I'm pretty sure Apple is going to be saying something like, you cannot record.
Oh, yeah. It just, it just occurred to me when they were talking about this. It's like, and Jeff, it sounds like we've both made each other think a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it just is one of those things. Just, God, in today's world, you have to think about that at some point.
Yeah.
Not very likely. Probably you would not be surrendering any information, and especially because it's not a hardwired connection.
Yeah.
But still.
It's always be cautious.
Also, for the AirPods Pro, this is specifically limited to the H2 model AirPods Pro 2.
Right.
If you have Apple's other Pro audio devices, the AirPods Pro 1, the AirPods Max, the Beats Fit Pro, or the Beats Solo Pro, which have basically the same feature sets as the first generation AirPods Pro, you do not get this feature.
Yep, absolutely. All right, with the remaining minutes we have left in the show here, I wanted to just touch a little bit on the Apple Watch with WatchOS 10 that was out in beta. Notably, we definitely can start off with compatibility. Any version prior to Series 4, you're out of luck here. And if you're sporting an old Series 3, you should be looking to upgrade, because that sucker's too slow, and you always have to erase it and reinstall everything every time the new OS came out anyway. So Series 4, the first and second gen of the SE, and then everything up upon that is going to give you full compatibility. I really like what they've done with the way they changed the way that the display is, with where the apps are now very full screen. I think that's really nifty. In beta, I will never go down the road of installing beta on Apple Watch, because once you go to beta, you don't go back. So just warning people this is something to look forward to here. All the apps will look great. To look full screen, I really like it. They did enhance the control center, because I always, right now when you have to go to control center, you always have to tap the second button and or you have to swipe up on the Apple Watch to get to the control center. Now you can actually tap the side button and then get to it a lot quicker. I think that was a nice improvement they had there. They did also introduce Smart Stack, which allows you to stack up different widgets using the digital crown, which is great. And of course, the watch faces. We talked about that, and enhancements with fitness and mental health, which is great. So I really think they've done some really good things when it comes to the Apple Watch. Did anything stand out to you guys when they announced these changes?
Definitely the Smart Stack. It's made my watch considerably more usable from just the watch face.
Mm-hmm.
The new control center layout. Why I'm having a little bit of trouble reversing muscle memory on that. It makes a lot more sense. It honestly, it's great.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about the muscle memory part. I don't think, though, that'll be a big problem for me, because basically the only time I use that button is when I'm invoking Apple Pay.
Yeah. Oh, and for anybody who is concerned about the change in multitasking, instead of pressing the lower button, you double press the crown button.
So lower button.
Well, the side button you're talking about?
Yeah, side button.
Okay. Asking because my lower button is a crown.
Oh, because
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Oh,
The side button, the flat one.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah. That's great. One thing I did also notice that was found is the lockdown mode is being expanded to Apple Watch and WatchOS 10, which was introduced on iOS 16 and iPad and Mac last year. It's an optional security setting that's designed to protect a very small number of users who may be at risk of highly targeted cyber attacks from companies developing state-sponsored spyware, such as journalists, activists, and government employees. So you are going to have that added security, which I think that's a smart thing. The other thing I'm kind of excited about by working in the enterprise is to see that this is being expanded. I won't go into too much detail with that because that's more of a developer kind of discussion, but there's going to be future support at work where you're going to probably find those working in a company who are using your bring your own device like I do now with my iPhone and my iPad. You're going to be able to utilize your Apple Watch for work as well. So, and not be surprised. I wouldn't surprised to be seeing that they're going to maybe even companies issue Apple Watches that that works within their work environment. So it's good to see that expansion. Anything else you guys have with that you're looking forward to and that was announced?
Just the fact that this looks like an evolution, again, that it just feels like we're getting to a mature product, and not mature in the sense of end of life,
right,
but just mature in that it's kind of figured out what it wants to be for the majority of the users, the way they use the device.
Yep.
And I really, really like that part.
I do. I mean, it's come a long way. I mean, it was an innovation when it came out in 2015. It slowly has made itself better and better after each iteration of it. And then, of course, the Ultra came out to really explode the enhancements of it. But I agree with you that this is really matured, and it's going to get better every day.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed was spending a little bit less time this year on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. They've seemed to be able to finally divert some of that bandwidth over to the Apple Watch and TV.
Yep, I agree. Apple Watch and TV. You're right, because as we just discussed, one other feature I didn't mention is the group FaceTime audio. I think that's a great thing to have. Now you can actually have an audio group call right from the Apple Watch if you've ever had to do that. I think that's a nice enhancement too. So we've got a lot to look forward to. Obviously, those of you who don't want to tread down that road to beta, don't do it. This is probably going to be. This will be released in the fall, so you should be okay when it comes to that. So,
Patient young Jedi.
yes. Just let live through vicariously through us who do beta test some of these things.
Yes.
So before we wrap up, I want to make sure I mention MacStock. We're only near 30 days left until we're going to be in person at MacStock 7. It is here, and the 3 of 4 of us on this panel will be speaking during the event as speakers, which I'm excited to see everybody as speakers. Chuck's been doing a great job with the Road to MacStock and talking to a lot of the great speakers. So make sure you come out, and unfortunately, tickets are sold out right now in person. So, but you can go on a waiting list if you go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com and check that out. But you also could purchase a virtual ticket, which Mike Potter was kind enough to get that set up. So we're going to be doing a virtual MacStock as well as in person. So you'll be able at least to have that option if you aren't able to get tickets. But come on out. It's July 22nd, 23rd, and it's in Woodstock at right outside of Chicago. And also we had Barry Folk on the just last episodes, 258. We've talked to him a couple times now. He's going to have a Midwest Mac barbecue. Come out and see the rest of the great crew that's going to be part of MacStock. Check that out. And he's having that on the July 20th, a couple days before MacStock. So you can get all that information. Just go to MacStockConferenceandExpo.com and check it out. You guys want anything else before I wrap things up here on that?
I'm looking forward to seeing all of you there.
Yes.
It's going to be really nice to hang out.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. Second that.
Yep. Hey, Dave, how much are the virtual tickets?
I think it's like $99. So maybe we can get you in the virtual audience.
Yes.
So with that, let's go ahead and wrap things up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Mastodon at intouchwithios. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we are live streaming, which is on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios, where you can watch the live stream. I always leave that up there, as well as you can listen to the past shows right on YouTube there. Go to In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can listen to us and you can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Overcasts, and many others. But better yet, just go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 at Mastodon.cloud. Also on Twitter, DaveG65. Chuck Joyner, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. So where can people find you?
Hey, David, thank you for having me. It's fun as always. MacVoices.com is where you can find everything I'm doing. As Dave said, we're doing the Road to MacStock, talking to all of the speakers that are going to be presenting at MacStock, giving you an idea of, if you don't know them, of their personalities and what they're going to be talking about. We also do Mac Voices Live Tuesday nights with pretty much this whole crew and more at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, whatever time that is, wherever you are, on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. And on all of the socials, you can find me as at Chuck Joyner and or at Mac Voices, including recently T2.
Yes.
So if you're on T2, check it out.
I'm on T2 as well.
Thanks again, Dave.
Thank you. T2's, I'm on there, Dave G65, so I believe Jeff is as well. Speaking of Jeff Gamet, thanks as always for being here. Where can people find you?
It's always great to get to be here. Yes, I'm on T2, but not as Dave G65.
No.
As Jake.
No, I was going to say, I let that in, but should have not said that. Thank you for correcting me.
No, that's all right. If I had not made the joke, I would have been letting everyone down.
You're catching the pedantic bug from Brian.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Oh, yeah, crap. And anyhow, Dave, it really is always a treat to get to hang out. All right. So in addition to T2, where I think I've posted something, I'm J Gamet basically everywhere else. I'm doing my posting right now on Mastodon and Instagram for shows. Chuck, for whatever reason, keeps letting me on Mac Voices Live on Tuesdays. And then Dave, you keep letting me back here on Thursdays. Also on Thursdays, I do the big show on the British Tech Network. And then I'm back there again on Fridays for the Mac Show. And speaking of Brian Chaffin and Pedantic, I do Context Machine with Brian as well. And then other shows along the way.
Thanks, Jeff. Last but certainly not least, Ben Roethig, thanks for being here as well. And where can people find you?
Great. Well, Dave, you can find me at Ben Roethig on social media, including this Terminator 2 one. You can find me at Roethig.tech, where I have a brand new article on choosing between the Mac Studio and the Mac Pro. And lastly, you can find me everywhere Jeff just said, except for that Context Machine.
You got that down. You got that down pat.
Yes, I was about to say Content Machine, but
Nope. Well, thank you so much, Ben. Appreciate it. And thank you for listening. We really enjoyed doing the show. I hope you enjoyed listening to it. And until next time, we'll talk again soon.